And welcome to this evening's live information session. Today we are going to be discussing the BCom with a major in digital business degree that we're offering at the Milpark School of Commerce. And this is really your opportunity to answer all of your questions. Is this qualification for you? What is this qualification going to look like? And what is this qualification going to give you in terms of your skills, in terms of your career options? My name is Julia Jeska, and I'm joined here this evening with my colleagues, and I'm going to hand over to them to please introduce themselves.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Heaven Nema Ungane, and I'll be the academic owner for the digital business modules. Thank you.
Hi, everybody. My name is Annerie Miller, and I am the HOD at the School of Commerce, and I oversee the BCom programs within Milpark. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you, colleagues. And this evening, what we are going to do is if at any point you want to ask a question, you are more than welcome to post a question in the chat. There's also a poll in the chat where we want to know what is motivating you, what is driving your interest in this qualification, and then we can speak to that interest. We'll also, at the end of the session, we'll enable your microphones and you are more than welcome to engage with us, ask us any burning questions, and make sure that you are in the best, most informed position to embark on your studies. So firstly, we want to know, what is a Milpark graduate all about? And I'm going to please hand over to Annerie to take us through what does it mean to be a graduate at Milpark Education.
Thank you, Julia. Yes, so I think what is very important for us at Milpark is what we call our Blue Pledge. So if you enroll into a Milpark qualification, and in this case, the BCom with digital business, and complete this qualification, our pledge to you is that you will have the following graduate attributes at the end of this journey. So if you look on the screen there, our first graduate attribute is human first, digitally fluent. Now, this is for us very important. You know, it is important for you to have the digital skills and knowledge of the digital tools to not only will you be able then to design and implement and run your business very efficiently, but I want to put a little bit of emphasis there on the human first aspect as well. So we have a very human-centric approach, because let's face it, if AI could solve all the world's problems, they would have already. And then secondly there, once you've completed this qualification, our pledge to you is that you will be a player in the global market. You will have a globally competitive qualification, and you will be equipped to navigate and solve very uniquely South African challenges as well. And we do this through enhancing and fostering creativity, problem solving, resilience, and also working on collaboration. So not only in what we teach, but also how we teach. Julia will talk a little bit about that a little bit later. In this strive for excellence, you know, for not only personal excellence, not only academic excellence, but also professional excellence and excellence in your impact that you will have on society. Thanks.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Annerie. And what's really interesting is the World Economic Forum is happening at the moment. And when you look at our graduate attributes, there's a lot of similarities between what are we anticipating and really trying to achieve with our graduates, and what are the skills that are desperately needed as stated by that forum. So there is quite a lot of overlap there, which I think is really, really important. Annerie, would you mind taking us through what are the fundamentals of a BCom qualification, specifically a BCom with a major in digital business at Milpark, and really what makes it so unique?
Okay, so I think the first thing that we have to just put on the table here, this is a fully accredited program. So it's accredited with a CHE and it's industry recognized. And it forms part, the BCom in digital business forms part of a suite of BCom qualifications that we offer here at Milpark. So, for example, we've got the BCom in economics, BCom in financial management, but now we have this new program in digital business that can align with your career goals. In terms of our offering here at Milpark, this is a distance institution, but our approach and our mode of learning is what we call immersive online. Again, Julia will inform you a little bit more about that later on, but it is very intentionally designed to create an immersive experience for our students, not just giving you study material and saying, there you go, but very actively creating carefully designed experiences for our students that links to the next one that is practical, industry linked, and career focused. For us at the end of the day, when you walk out with a BCom from Milpark Education, the goal, and I think what you will achieve, is an enhancement of employability and your skills in the workforce.
Thank you so much, Anne-Marie. And that's really it. Skills in the workplace are so important. There's so much focus on what can you do. And really that's where our focus in these qualifications is empowering you with those skills. So let's talk about the BCom with a major in digital business specifically. So why would you want to study a BCom with a major in digital business? It's really all about the focus being where business meets innovation. That gap between those people who are really well versed in business and those people who are really well versed in IT and innovation. This is bridging that divide within the current industry standings, where you are now somebody who can utilize digital tools in order to make informed business decisions. And I just want to have a quick word from our you with those digital skills.
The sound is not working, Julia.
I'm so sorry. Apologies for that, everybody. Let me quickly tend to that.
Imagined. Guess what? You are in the middle of it. The world doesn't need followers. We need doers, thinkers, and game changers. People to lead, people to innovate, people to disrupt industries, and people to redefine what is possible. And here's my challenge to you. Be fearless enough to start. Be resilient enough to fail, and yet be determined enough to succeed. And I promise you, show up, invest in this journey, and you will level up in ways you've never imagined. Here at Milpark School of Commerce, I know you've got this.
So hopefully you found that very inspiring. But now, what does it actually mean in digital business? Where can we see these values of resilience and problem solving in something that is really, really practical? And I'd like to ask Kevin, if you wouldn't mind putting it into some perspective for us as to where digital business has really been very successful in the industry.
Thank you so much, Julia. And good evening to everyone who just joined us now. I think it's important that we sort of use relevant case studies that we all can relate to in order to be able to bring this back home, right? Yes, we're talking about digital business and all that, but what really does it mean, all right? Julia, I think there's like a background noise. I don't know if it's on my side. Just mute for a second. Yes, thank you so much. So I think it's very important, guys, that when we talk about digital business, that I sort of explain to you guys how this is already something that we're living, right? So for example, the example that we have today is Checkers. As we all know, and we all shop with Checkers, you have two options. Either you go to the retail and where you sort of interact in a physical store, where you buy your things in the store and you get them and take them back home. Or you have an option of using like a channel such as 360, which is Checkers' flagship way of actually selling to people, where you sort of buy things online and you get them delivered at your door. The reality is, one might think that if Checkers can do it, Pick and Pay can just go and plug in an app, or like a delivery option and actually achieve what Checkers has achieved. But that actually is not true. Digital transformation, it's not just something where you just plug in technology. It's actually not just having technology. It's actually being intentional about how you are using the technology to answer different questions that actually arise in your business. For example, if you look at the different channels that Checkers have, right, for them to be able to introduce the 360 app successfully, they had to deal with a bit of challenges, right? One, because they have retailers who have actually franchised the brand. They might feel that, if Checkers is going to sell to the same people around Midrand and we exist in Midrand, how are we going to benefit, right? So therefore, that would be a sort of a conflict between the two, right? So what happens is that the retailers will have some resistance because the revenues are going to be cannibalized. What Checkers had to do to actually be able to solve this problem, they had to think in a digital business perspective, right? So that is to think, how can we best, one, allow ourselves to actually be able to reach the customers, but at the same time create trust with our retailers, and not just create trust, but involve the retailers in this sort of decision, right? This means that thinking around how can we have a revenue model that benefits everyone in the ecosystem. And by doing that, that sort of solution does not only allow Checkers to be able to sell to the customers, but it allows them to actually have an overall understanding of the business. I'm sure you've went to a business whereby if you go to the store, you ask them a question, they're like, we don't know about that. Call the switchboard, right? Or call the online guys to actually be able to assist you. And that's frustrating to the customers. So what Checkers did really was that they realized that as much as this problem between the retailers and 360 as an app, it's a problem, but it's actually a solution that allows them to be digitally transformed. By this way, they're able to say, let's integrate all the data into one place, really understand the end-to-end relationship for the customer. If a customer goes online, they can always go pick up at the store. If you are online and you can't find something, online, they can always relate you to the nearby store. So this allows for an integrated experience. And this is what one will actually be able to learn through the digital business at Milpark. That digital business is not just about plugging in a solution, but it's about understanding how can we deal with the resistance of the employees. And this is where something called organizational change comes into place, whereby you deal with change management, helping employees understand the value, the retailers understanding the value, and create a win-win situation for everybody.
Thank you so much, Evan. And I think from this case study, you can really understand how there's that digital aspect where it's, designing an app and letting consumers purchase through the app, being able to effectively deliver it, be able to get the orders correct. But then there's also that massive human element as well. And I think that's where the BCom with a major in digital business really bridges that divide, because you learn those human skills of actually managing people and handling this massive change, but then also how to implement the most accurate digital solutions. Thank you so much for putting that into perspective. And for a little bit more perspective, would you mind telling us about some of the possible career options that you could gain with this qualification?
Yes, thank you so much for that question, Julia. I think a lot of times when we see like programs advertised, there's always like a fluff around, you do this qualification and this is the job that you're going to get. But I think from the case study that I sort of presented, you can sort of see how what we learn in the classroom sort of applies in real world. For example, if we're talking about being able to have a digital business, we need to really understand the data, all right? So who is buying from where, right? How often are they buying? That way, we're able to recommend the product before the customer even sort of knows it. And for someone to be able to do that, we need a business and a data analyst in that sort of company. And because we are dealing with people having to buy online, it means that we have to understand, how to optimize the experience best, right? Meaning that we'll need what? A customer experience analyst. So that is some of the jobs that one can actually go to with this sort of qualification. And because we're dealing with a digital product, and what is very interesting with this sort of digital business is that it's not only applicable to retailers, it's also applicable to the banks. The banks are now, or most of the banks are actually going digital. If you look at Time Bank, which is like a fully digitalized bank. So there's been sort of a desire in the country to sort of have this roles filled of people who actually have the digital business understanding because of where the customer sort of shift is going towards wanting sort of convenience and having a better experience.
Absolutely. I think that's exactly what we're seeing across industries, is we're seeing this drive of customer expectations going up. We're seeing a drive of you wanting things efficiently, you wanting things fast, you wanting things in the most convenient way possible. And in order for there to be a successful digital business, you need all of these people. And this is by no means an exhaustive list, because you still need the manager of this business, and that manager needs to be able to understand the digital aspects so that they can sit in the boardroom, they can sit at the exco meeting, and they're able to communicate with the data analyst. They're able to implement things from the design team. So there are really so many career options, and I think this qualification is definitely fulfilling that divide that you were talking about, Heaven, where we know that the consumers within the industries are wanting this digital, this efficient service delivery. And then let's talk some skills. So we spoke about the need for skills, especially in today's fast-moving world. And this qualification really, really focuses on skills development, because we understand that technology is changing at a rapid rate. But the way in which you're able to analyze a problem and put in place an appropriate solution, those are skills that are going to withstand all technological advances. Because if you think about how you interact with ChatGPT, you could ask it a question, you could get a response, but then it takes that human intervention to say, how do we critically analyze this to say whether or not it's appropriate for our problem, and how is it going to then be perceived when we roll out the solution to a wide range of people? So when we focus on skills, we're focusing on process optimization, we're focusing on problem solving, decision making, ethical and professional conduct, digital transformation, systems thinking, and leadership and lifelong learning. Because at the end of the day, these are the things that matter most to future employers. These are the things that are going to mark success in a future-proof career, is really developing these skills. And when we talk about where these skills are going to be developed, let's have a look at our course structure. So from these modules, I wanted to ask Kevin, can you see a link between some of these modules and the Checkers case study that you just walked us through? And can you share some of those with us?
Yes, thank you so much, Julia. I think before I even answer that question, just to go back to the slide, but you don't have to go back, but looking at sort of some of the skills that the degree comes with. It's very important that one does not, so we are not designing this course for one to just be a cog in the machine, right? To just go and plug in and be a worker. But we're sort of training you to be able to think for yourself, right? So that if you want to own your own business, that is also possible. That is why we bring things like critical thinking, analytical thinking. And one can ask, how does Milpark, tend to actually take these skills out of us, or actually make us thinkers? Because these are the things that we already have. As humans, we're already analytical, right? But we explained when we started the conversation, at Milpark, we use case studies such as the one that we have, where we have what we call complex problems. And these complex problems allow students to be able to sort of think critically about what sort of solutions can we actually bring into the market. And these solutions are not just solutions that are going to apply to like thin air, but they're very relevant to the country that we live in and to where we are going as the country. So I think that's very, very, very important. But to answer your question, Julia, around where do I see these sort of models, going back to the case study. If we can just look at how we define digital business, right? The fundamental of digital business is data. It's having to understand data. How is it flowing? Where is it coming from, and who does it belong to? And how can we best optimize this? And I think a course in data analytics allows you to do that. And we don't just because it's not an IT focus or a technical course. We don't just throw the learners in there. We start them off by foundations, sort of understand what is data. I've been mentioning this word a lot. What is data? And I think with those sort of foundation courses allows the students to gradually understand what is it that we talk about digital business, because it's a very broad topic. And whenever you talk about data, there's always a threat to security. The same way in a physical, you'll have a security guard in the door. Even within the digital space, we actually need to think about security, right? So we trained our students not only just to focus on the business side of things, but to think about holistically, because today's world, you don't just work in a silo and you only work in spreadsheets, but you interact with people from different fields. And I mean, if you look at a course such as financial technology, right? We have seen a lot of this happening. Now we have buy now, pay later. We have advancements of payments before your salary gets in. All those businesses are digital businesses. So we keep us not only to just, be able to apply this at their jobs, but to be able to think, in the real world, how can they apply this to their own lives and to the lives of those around them, and to actually contribute to the economy of the country. So I think that is sort of how this relates to the case study of Checkers.
Thank you so much, Evan. And of course, there's also the human skills. So if we think about leadership and organizational dynamics, we think about strategy and foresight, business management. That's all. How do we then deal with the humans? How do we implement change management? How do we get our retail store franchisees on board with this big shift and present them with the benefits and present them with the data? And then you said something really great there. You said it's not just, we're now learning data analytics. You're immediately expected to know everything about how we analyze data. There really is a scaffolded approach within this qualification. So in order to get to data analytics, you must understand the essential digital skills for business studies. You must have a foundational level of mathematics. If we think about how Checkers went about their decision to bring out Checkers 60/60, it was also a matter of economics and checking whether or not this is going to be economically viable within the industry. Is this something that there's even a demand for within the industry? And of course, we always need to act within the law. So what you've also said, Heaven, is that this qualification gives you a full circle moment where you're going to be able to have that understanding of every aspect of the business, beyond just digital business, but going into the basis of what a business needs in order to run successfully. Now, the last thing that we want to touch on is to talk about how will you learn a BCom digital business with Milpark. So we have a really great LMS, which is a learner management system. It's the system that you'd see when you log in and you learn about digital transformation, for example. And Canvas is a very user-friendly and intuitive system that really guides you through one piece of coursework to the next, to an assessment, that by the time you get to your summative exam, you are very well prepared. As Anne-Marie mentioned earlier, this module and this qualification also runs through the learning mode of immersive online. And what immersive online is all about is that you are immersed within your studies. There is one platform that covers everything that you need to know and guides you step by step through all of the work. You are at no point alone. And I think that that's sometimes a big fear with online learning is, am I going to be isolated? Am I going to miss out on that traditional education experience? But the way that our courses are structured is that at any point, you can reach out for assistance. You have a lecturer who you'll have live sessions with. You can book consultations. You can post messages in a chat function to make connections with your peers, form study groups, and also engage your lecturer on any questions that you might have. So it's a very collaborative community and there are structured interactions, but there's also a degree of flexibility. If you are working and studying at the same time, your tasks are very clear for the week. This is the outcome that needs to be met. This is the assessment that you might need to do. There's also a lot of flexibility in terms of when you can engage. So if you're engaging in a discussion with your peer might be a morning person and they could post their discussion at 8 a.m. and you might come on at 8 p.m. after the children are in bed and you have a free moment for yourself with your cup of coffee. And you can still have those interactions and engagements with the module, but on a time frame that works for you. And I think that that's a really important feature of studying online is that you're not alone and you will be guided step by step through every aspect of the journey. But now for the most important part. We want to know from you guys if there are any questions. Is there anything that you would like to know about this qualification or about Milpark School of Commerce and how we teach within the school? And at this point, you are more than welcome to engage in the chat and your mics will, and you can reach out to us and let us know if you have any questions. I think as a start, just to get the conversation rolling before you, while you think of your questions, and you're welcome to put up your hand and then we will activate your microphone. But as a start, Anne-Marie, would you mind telling us when is the last date for registrations?
Okay, thank you, Julia. So if you are considering enrolling for this course and this qualification, the last date for registration is the 30th of January. Now, just want to clarify that if we say date of registration, it means that your application is in and already gone through the review and processed. So if I can advise anyone interested in enrolling in this qualification, if you can have your application in around 26 January, then you know that you will make the deadline.
Awesome. Thank you, Anne-Marie. And I think it is all about that, is that close of registration means your registration is in, your registration has been processed, you're not missing any documents, there's nothing outstanding, you are good to go, you are good to start some classes. Are there any questions? You guys are more than welcome to raise your hands. I see we have a question from Kea. Kea, your mic is enabled. You are more than welcome to turn it on and ask us a question.
You just need to unmute your mics, please. It has been enabled.
I see we also have a question from Melanda. Melanda, if you would like to unmute your microphone, you are also more than welcome to ask your question. In the meantime, I can also answer a question that you maybe have, which is when do classes start? Ah, awesome, Melanda. Yes, go ahead. Please ask your question.
Good. Is it evening? Good evening, afternoon? I don't know. It's almost midnight my side. I just wanted to ask you guys with regards to the immersive learning, right? Because you were talking about like 8 a.m. learner, 8 p.m. learner. Do you have like any instances where, with regards to like when you're interacting with other people, that there's like a set time for all of this? And if you guys do have it, when is it? Because I'm asking on my behalf, because I'm not in South Africa. I am South African. I just don't live in South Africa. So time for me, time-wise, timeline is significantly like important.
That is a very important question. Thank you so much for asking. So the one form of assessments where there are quite a strict timeline is the exams, because we do want all students to have their exam at the same time. The other assessments, your formative assessments, what will typically happen is that you are given a week, so you'll have access to your assessments, and then there's a week within which you can do that assessment. So basically, if you are at 8 a.m. your time and you start your assessment, you'll have a 2-hour window, for example, and you can do that assessment, and I can do that same assessment at 7 p.m. that night when it works for me. The only real big time restriction is making sure that you're able to do your formative assessments within the week that's been allocated at a time that suits you, and then making yourself available for the stricter timeline of your summative assessment, which is your exam. With regards to students' interactions, we do have some participation marks, which is really engaging your peers on the big issues, giving your opinions, forming that critical thinking, and being able to analyze others' thoughts. And with those as well, there is a period of, say, for example, 3 days. And within those 3 days, you can make your post, and then you might have 2-3 days there afterwards to comment on somebody else's post. So our timelines are very flexible in that sense, with just the main restriction being on the exam. Thank you so much for your question.
Thanks. And Julia, if I can maybe just ask, in terms of the flexibility and the live sessions that you mentioned, is that expected to be synchronous, or what happens if I can't attend a live session?
That's a really good question. Thank you for that, Annerie. So we do have live sessions. The live sessions are in the evening to accommodate the majority of our students, so that it's after work, after the majority of your commitments, but life happens. You might be overseas. You might have a commitment on that Wednesday evening, for example. So all of our live sessions are recorded and they're posted onto your course page within 24 hours. So if you're unable to attend a live session physically, virtually through Teams at the time slots, you will be able to access it the next day. And there's also no marks for attending those live sessions. The advantage for students making the effort to attend them is so that you can ask your questions, so that you can further your understanding and engage with your lecturer. Thank you. And are there any other questions from anybody in the audience?
So Julia, we've got a couple, or we've got one in the Q&A. So if I can maybe just read that out. It says, I completed my BCom General with Milpark in 2023. I would like to know if I can be credited for some of the modules, and if so, how many?
Okay, that's a very interesting question. So when it comes to your credits, we judge every single student's credit-bearing subjects one-on-one. We make sure, how does it line up? Where does it line up? And it's particularly tricky when you're talking about the same qualification. So doing a BCom General and then doing a BCom in Digital Business, there's quite a few little things that we need to look out for. But we have a full exemption process. So our team members who are here and they're in the chat, they basically go through what modules have you passed and where can we assist you. And you can make an application in that regard, which is called an exemption application, which you can do when you register with us. I see we also have another question. I think Kaya was able to use the Q&A function. Thank you for that, Kaya. You said you would want to switch from insurance to digital business. Is there still time? Absolutely. And you are more than welcome to reach out to your program manager. We do understand that sometimes it takes a year into your studies to really find your groove and find the thing that you are really passionate about. So the one thing that we do try and do here at Milpark is to provide that flexibility, because we understand only after you've done your first year, you might fall in love with economics and want to do the BCom economics. You might fall in love with accounting and want to go to studying accounting. So that is absolutely an option that's available, and your program manager can definitely assist you, and they will reach out to help you now that you've asked the question. Then I see we have another question from Kumbudzo. You are more than welcome to turn on your mic and engage with us.
Hi, how are you doing?
I'm doing very well, thanks. How are you?
I'm good. I just wanted to understand in terms of the depth of the training. So I recently completed like a certification in digital marketing, and I don't have any background experience in marketing or BCom at all. But I have been working in corporate for a very long time. And I want to transition, of course, into the digital business space. So I just wanted to understand in terms of how far do you go in terms of the content? Am I still going to sort of repeat some of the things that I've already learned, like for example, like how to run ads and all of that, or this is a more business related course? I don't know if I'm
No, you're making loads of sense. Thank you so much. Heaven, did you want to take this question?
Yes,
Or are you
yes,
happy?
yes.
Okay, awesome.
No,
Go
no,
ahead.
gracefully. I think that's a very good question, right? So I myself, I did a master's in digital business. And when I went to the school, I asked myself the same question when, that am I going to learn the same things? But the reality of it is that we don't really teach, the technical thing of like this, how long you must post and all those things. But we teach you how to think about, that aspect of digital marketing. How does that fit into your whole strategy as a business, right? So if you are checkers, how then do you sort of market, given the fact that you are transitioning to the sort of like a digital business? So what I can say is that you having that qualification when it comes to digital marketing, it just complements it. It won't be a run around of some of the things that you have learned. And if you have learned them, to be honest, with marketing, you never really know everything. So, and I think that, I don't know when you did digital marketing, but a lot has sort of changed and improved in that sort of regards. So you can still get some nuggets from that. I don't know
Thank
if
you
I
for
answered
that.
your question, Kumbodzo.
Yes, no, I'm totally answered. I'm totally answered. I'm still like fresh in the digital marketing course, but because of my, like I'm saying that I've been working in corporate for a long time, I find a lot of the jobs in digital marketing very entry level. So I wanted something exactly like this that talks a little bit on a higher level, on a managerial level, on how you can, work around the digital business. I run a little digital business where I do like a lot of practicing, but I wanted something that is at scale. So yeah, I'm totally answered, and thank you.
Thank you so much. And I think also if you were asking those same questions about the BCom marketing, I think our advice might be a little bit different, because there we go in depth with digital marketing, we go in depth with AI and marketing. But with the BCom digital business, the focus is definitely on digital businesses at scale. And how do you take that same concept and that thinking that Heaven's been talking about in terms of how do we apply that thinking to a small business that we want to grow massively, or we're maybe now joining a company that's already got a massive digital platform and we now need to keep it sustainable and keep it competitive within the industry. So the focus is more on the digital business side than the marketing side, absolutely. And it's definitely the skills that would be needed for both small entities and massively large corporate entities. But that's amazing that you have such a vast array of interests, because I do feel like marketing and digital business, they are friends. They are absolutely friends, cousins, they are very related, and you have to have an understanding of the one to be able to understand the other. Then I see, Melanda, you have another question. You are more than welcome to raise your hand, to turn on your mic.
Oh, thank you. Before I ask my question, I don't want to be presumptuous, so I'm just gonna ask this. It's safe to assume this is within the realm of an IT degree, right?
Not really, no. A
How so?
IT qualification is very technical. It's teaching you to code, it's teaching you Python, it's teaching you back end how to build the systems. This qualification is more teaching you how do we use those systems? How do we
So
implement the
more
correct
informatics.
system? It's more on the business side than the IT side. And it's more about understanding both worlds so that you can make really well-informed business decisions, as opposed to having a basic business understanding to make good IT products, which is more where a BCom IT is.
Okay. So with that, um, because it's more leaning towards the business aspect of it, right? And how do I phrase this? So because you guys are a private institution, right? I'm trying to think of a way to phrase it.
Don't
Do
worry.
you have? No, I'm trying. So would there not be a need for, again, I assume, because private institution and it's relatively new to me, because I know it in the form of like IT, but like a BCom informatics sort of, right? Would there not be additional certifications an individual would need to partake in to possibly get into fields like business analytics or data analytics? Can you please open, if possible, the PowerPoint where you were showing like prospective career options that people could get into pursuing these courses?
Absolutely, I am on it.
Thank you. But back to what I was saying, do you guys offer, like, maybe you do have, I don't know, an alliance, an agreement with certain companies with regards to certain certifications an individual could take to add on to what you guys are teaching?
Right now, Melanda,
Or is it just,
you are speaking to the vision of our school. You are speaking to exactly the things that we are working really, really hard to create. And at this stage, there's nothing like that at this moment, but watch this space is all I'm going to say on that one.
perfect?
Yeah,
Thank
that's
you.
true. I can just put echo Julia's sentiments. That is such a wonderful question, and I am so glad that you see the vision of this qualification. So that is something that we are actively working on, and that we will share once formalized.
Any other questions from our audience? You've got us. If there's anything you want to know, you are more than welcome to ask us. And then also just to say, if you think of something a little bit later, you can post it in the chat. We will get back to you. We absolutely will. But I see we've got Kumbotso on the line again. You are more than welcome to turn on your mic and engage with us.
Yes, I don't think I saw the prices of how the programs go. So if you can maybe give us a picture of what we are looking at financially. I saw the program is 3 years, nay.
The program is 3 years because it's a BCom degree as accredited with the CHE. There is a minimum of 3 years. And as is being posted in the chat for all of our qualifications, when you go into the website and you go into programs, you can select your program and filter it either by school, which would be School of Commerce, or NQF level, which for BCom is NQF level 7. And you can find all of our programs, and you can also find a price list for that program exactly that's going to show you what you're looking at per module and per qualification.
Okay, thank you. I'll have a look.
Awesome. And I see the link has been posted in the chat, so that makes it even easier for you. You guys can go and click on the link and have a look at the costing for these modules. Now, last opportunity, any burning questions, anything you want to know from us before we see you in your classes in 2026. If there's anything you'd like to ask, please go ahead. I see Given has a question. Given your mic will be enabled momentarily, and then you can unmute yourself and ask your question. I see you have mic access, so you may unmute, please. Given, are you able to unmute? It is at the top, next to your camera button, and you can unmute and chat to us.
Julia, while we give Given a chance, can I maybe ask a question? When do classes start?
Brilliant question. So classes for this qualification start on the 10th of February. So we'll kickstart on the 10th of February. We typically start with our foundational modules, and then you go through the 3-year qualification. If for whatever reason you can't get your registration in by the 30th of January, you can't start your classes on the 10th of February, it is important to note that our BCom qualifications do have 4 intake periods. So we can start new students at 4 times across the year, and then you'll be able to join when it's most convenient to you. And the qualification is designed in such a way that it won't interrupt the way in which you do your modules and the way in which you experience going from, entry level, foundational, more intermediate to your advanced modules. Thank you for that question, Anna-Marie. I'm not too
Maybe
sure,
just
Given. Yes, sure, Heaven.
no, sorry. I don't know if Given was able to unmute, but he can always type on the chat. So I just wanted to find out on that note, when is the next intake if a student misses this, so that one can just know how to best prepare, like when is the next, or will that be made available later on to the students?
We will definitely have our program managers put that date in the chat function for everyone. I don't want to be presumptuous and say the wrong date. So our program managers will make sure that they put in the dates for the year. And then you can also plan your year, plan when you will be able to join us and when you will be able to start this qualification. But Given I see that you weren't able to unmute, that is fine. You are more than welcome to post in the chat, and we will absolutely answer. Okay, you were asking about the second semester intake. Perfect question. I think you and Heaven were same page there. But we will definitely share those dates with you in the chat for the rest of the year. Unless, Anna-Marie, do you have something?
No, sorry, Julia. Sorry, I'm just getting excited about all the questions. So we have another one in the Q&A from Kaya. Thank you, Kaya. He's asking, after the BCom, is there an honors course or maybe another postgrad course in line?
That is a very exciting question. So with our BCom and BBA qualifications, because they're fully accredited, you can move into a postgraduate diploma, an honors degree. Eventually, lifelong learning, we want to see you guys obtain doctorates. At this point, a postgraduate specifically in digital business has not launched yet, but I'm sure you've seen the vision for the school. I'm sure you've seen our excitement about this program and where we want to go in the future. So that's another stay tuned, but the options and opportunities available for you in order to study further and be admitted into postgraduate programs are absolutely available. And because this is a CHE accredited qualification, if you did need to do a postgraduate somewhere else, because that really speaks to your interests, you are also able to do that. Awesome. Thank you all so much for such an engaging and interactive session. We really, really appreciate your questions and even some of the is this happenings, because it really fuels our vision for Milpark and for our school and what we want to provide you guys with in the very near future. And I think just some closing remarks from our colleagues, if you would like to mention anything as we close off the session. I'm going to hand over to Anne-Marie for your closing thoughts.
Thanks. No, I just wanted to thank both you, Julia, and Heaven, for sharing your time and expertise here. And then, of course, to everybody joining us here today and making the time to listen to us. We value your time. And hopefully you've also seen what we can bring to the table. And we are excited to join you on this journey. Yes, so please reach out and then we'll see you maybe a little bit later. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Anne-Marie. Heaven, any closing remarks for your future digital business students?
Thank you so much, Julia. I think I'm really excited. I think the more I was in the session, I just sort of saw the value more and more and more for more people to have this qualification and the thinking more than anything. If we look at the world that we're in now, there's a huge demand, and given how there's a lot of job displacement, because a lot of the skills or qualifications that we have do not necessarily or are not adapted to this generation that we're in. So I do see the value so much of this. And one might be like, oh, why I never saw AI being talked about a lot here. But all of these things are just foundational, where AI is a layer that sort of allows one to be able to personalize the experience of the user. But the whole engine is understanding how does the digital business model works. All right. And yeah, I think we experience it every day. If you shop, take a lot. If you use a cell phone, you experience it every day. But why not get to understand, how it works? And I think that's the beauty of this, really.
Thank you so much, Heaven. Full circle. That's exactly it. We didn't talk about AI because AI is a given. Of course, we're going to use AI. Of course, we're going to be integrating that because we want to be at the forefront. We want to be those industry disruptors. We want our graduates to go out and do phenomenal things and really shape this country the way it needs to be shaped to be continuously competitive. And I think that's our biggest focus is producing industry-ready graduates who are ready for the future world of work and not just the current world of work. So thank you all so much for your time in joining us this evening. Thank you for your questions. And please engage with us if there is anything more you need to understand as you go through this process. We are here with you step by step through every part of your journey. So thank you all and have a fantastic evening. Goodbye.
Thank you. Goodbye.
Bye-bye.